Albums flop all the time. It's an unfortunate hazard of the music industry. But every so often, something strange happens. A record, misunderstood in its time, ignored by critics, or simply overshadowed, rises from the ashes. These are the albums that bombed at first, only to become legends. 1. Pet Sounds by the Beach Boys. The Beach Boys were America's golden boys, bringing California sunshine to every jukebox. So when they dropped Pet Sounds in 1966, fans expected more beachy vibes. What they got instead, complex arrangements, introspective lyrics,
They'll make it that much better when we can say goodnight and stay.
and a soundscape that was different. Critics weren't sure what to make of it. Fans didn't connect. And commercially, it underwhelmed. But as the years rolled on, the world started to catch up. Musicians from the Beatles to Radiohead have cited Pet Sounds as a masterpiece. Today, it's often ranked among the greatest albums ever recorded, a sonic revolution that was simply ahead of its time.
I try hard to be more what you want me to.
2. The Kinks of the Village Green Preservation Society. In 1968, the Kinks released what many now consider their magnum opus. But back then, the Village Green Preservation Society was practically invisible. It sold a mere 100,000 copies and barely made a dent on the charts.
The Village Green Preservation Society, God save.
Overshadowed by the Beatles' White Album, which dropped the same month. Its themes, nostalgia, tradition, small-town life were seen as outdated in the psychedelic era. But time has a way of shining a light on true artistry. Today, it's revered as one of the most poetic and underrated albums in British rock. Even Pete Townsend of The Who called it a masterwork. And he was right.
Take 'em by your papa a long time ago.
3. Sweetheart the Rodeo by the Byrds. The Byrds were folk rock royalty. But when they shifted to a full-on country sound with Sweetheart the Rodeo in 1968, fans were confused and sales reflected that.
I don't care how many letters they sent. The morning came.
It was a bold pivot, but one that initially fell flat. The twangy tones didn't resonate with their core audience, and the album went mostly unnoticed. But history has a funny way of rewriting itself. Sweetheart is now seen as the album that birthed country rock, paving the way for bands like the Eagles and influencing generations of Americana artists. What once seemed like a misstep became a blueprint.
And I sing with pride. I lie.
4. The Stooges by the Stooges. Raw, loud, unpolished. The Stooges' 1969 debut was pure chaos, and audiences weren't ready. It bombed commercially and got dismissed by critics as noise.
And I'll lay right down in my favorite place.
But beneath the distortion was something radical. The spirit of punk, years before punk officially had a name. The Stooges' energy, anger, and attitude would go on to inspire entire movements. From the Sex Pistols to Nirvana, bands have cited this failed album as a foundation of their sound. It didn't just age well, it defined a genre.
No fun to be alone, but in love.
5. Head by the Monkees. In 1968, the Monkees weren't just a band. They were a TV phenomenon. But their soundtrack album Head was strange. Part rock, part satire, part experimental art piece, and filled with bizarre dialogue snippets from the movie. Neither the film nor the album made sense to the mainstream. Both flopped, but decades later, had gained a cult following. People began to see it as a brilliant, self-aware, psychedelic oddity, a surreal deconstruction of celebrity, art, and fame. What was once considered a career-ending mistake is now a cult classic, beloved by fans and re-evaluated by critics. Sometimes the greatest art doesn't hit right away. Sometimes it needs time, space, a shift in perspective. These 5 albums remind us that failure isn't always the end. Sometimes it's just the beginning of a legend. So the next time someone calls your favorite album underrated, smile. History has a way of proving people wrong. If you love this video, you won't want to miss this next one. Click here to watch another amazing video that you'll absolutely enjoy.